Justinus, first scourged and then beheaded for the testimony of Jesus Christ, AD 168. Justinus was called a son of Priscus, Bacchus, and was born of Greek parents at Neapolis, in Palestine. In its proper place we have spoken of the views of Justinus concerning baptism on faith, and have shown that he was sound and correct in them. Now, however, it is proper for us to speak of his spiritual birth, of his heavenly fatherland, and how conclusively he showed that he was a child of God and a citizen of the heavenly city, filled with all good things which appeared not only in the beginning and progress of his faith, but especially in the end, when he testified to its power with his death and sealed it with his blood. In the days of his youth he was instructed in the Platonic philosophy, in which he acquitted himself so meritoriously that he received the name philosopher. Yea, he had been led to believe that his learning would soon enable him to see God, which was the ultimate object of the Platonic philosophy. But it happened one day, as he was going towards the sea, in order to meditate in solitude upon what he had learned, that, as he himself has confessed, there followed him a very grave and gentle old man who, having entered in a discourse with him respecting the Platonic philosophy, taught him in what true philosophy and happiness consisted, namely, in the saving knowledge of the only eternal and alone immortal God. Now when Justinus inquired for the teachers of whom he might learn this divine philosophy, the old man referred him to the writings of the prophets, who did not write according to the argumentation of human reason, but as certain and infallible witnesses left behind that they had seen and heard the words of truth, and the wonderful signs and works of God among his people, and that all their prophecies concerning the promised Messiah and Son of God were fulfilled in the advent of Jesus Christ, who was born in the reign of Emperor Augustus. He therefore admonished him to pray to God that he would enlighten his heart to this saving doctrine, through Jesus Christ, without whom it would not be possible for him to attain this saving knowledge. This and many more such discourses, writes Justinus, this old man had with me, showing me also how I should further increase, and how I might obtain the things necessary to salvation. Then he went away, and I saw him no more. Immediately a burning desire was kindled in my heart, and a love for the scriptures of the prophets, and those men who had been dear friends of Christ, namely the apostles. Then only I became a true philosopher. As to how and by whom, beside the instruction of the aforesaid old man, he was first instructed and baptized, or from what cause he left his native land and came from Syria, Palestine, or Samaria to Rome, of this we find no account. He afterwards had a disputation with Tryphon, a Jew. Of this he himself has written an account, in which may be seen his correct views in regard to different matters of faith, especially to baptism. Of this we have spoken in another place. But finally, having entered into a controversy with Crescens, a Cynic philosopher, and having vanquished and confounded him by the power of divine arguments, his uncertain life began to draw to a close, and his certain death to approach. For by reason of this Cynic, that is canine philosopher, conceived such a deadly hatred for Justinus that he swore to avenge it with his death, and from that time on did not cease to lay snares for him and accuse him as a Christian, until he had quenched his thirst for blood with the blood of Justinus. This Tatianus, the disciple of Justinus, gives to understand in his oration against the Greeks, in language not at all obscure, namely, that the above-mentioned Crescens did not only seek the life of Justinus, but also that of himself. Moreover, Photius states that he tasted a joyful and worthy death by the hands of Crescens, Cynicus, the person whom we have just mentioned. Touching the manner of his death, when Justinus had been apprehended on the accusation of Crescens, and boldly refused to admonish his faith or sacrifice to the gods, he was sentenced to death by Rusticus, the president, and after having been scourged, he was beheaded with the axe about AD 168, in the time of the reign of the emperors Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Virus, and of the president Rusticus, as is annotated in the Epiphanius.